Wake up, everybody, because today we're discussing why... What? Carbon-based banner, what's happening?
According to the script, it says it's the clickbait title alarm.
That's weird. This video isn't... Oh boy. BanderSN, you stand on trial today accused of grotesque clickbait about a major game release. How do you plead? Well, I suppose innocent. Likely story. Overruled. Wait, you can't overrule my plea bargain. I'm the judge here, and you're the one trying to fight bankruptcy. I thought this was about the clickbait title. Yeah, the defendant has admitted to using clickbait. Wait, what? Objection. That's entrapment. Overruled. I overrule my objection. I am so screwed. That's, what's your opening statement? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Wait, is this a trial by jury or trial by bench?
I can, with 100% certainty, confidently state that my video title is not clickbait, and I stand by it as the topic of my video. Ridiculous. Ratchet and Clank, the most important PlayStation game? It's absurd. I can prove it. Just give me a chance to explain. Very well. We need to hit the 10-minute mark in order to get ad revenue anyway. Your Honor, we're not monetized. We're a very small channel. Oh, well then I see why you're resorting to clickbait. Proceed. Wake up, everybody, because I have a court order to tell you about why I believe that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the most important PlayStation game in the history of the console. And in order to do that, we have to go back, because it all started with the birth of the PlayStation 1. Sony, like a scorned lover, was upset at Nintendo for not sharing their new console with them, so they did what any jealous console maker would do: make a Mario ripoff. And so, the Sonic-ass game, look it up, was born. And also Spyro. I think you're forgetting such great classics as Parappa the Rappa and Sir Medieval. Unfortunately, publishing rights and control left the original developers, Naughty Dog and Insomniac, and the two PS1 icons were pushed to a cozy multi-platform status. And today, rest assured that Crash and Spyro are in the good hands of oh no. No! So then we get to the PS2 era, and Sony, coming off a big win with the PS1, is already well on its way to dominating with the PS2. But after losing its two core mascots to another company, Sony was looking at almost restarting its attempt at creating the icons of its platform. One of the core tenets of a strong platform is having IP that people directly connect with that platform. Mario and Link for Nintendo, Sonic and Phantasy Star for Sega, Chief and John DiMaggio for Ekibok, and of course, Finnegan Fox and Cornhole for the Intellivision Amico. Who could forget? Now, don't get me wrong. The PS2 had plenty of iconic franchises that were exclusive to the PS2, like Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, and Kingdom Hearts. But they lacked games that they wholly owned themselves. So with Insomniac Games fresh off the Spyro franchise, Sony decided to invest in a brand new mascot character, Ratchet and Clank, a series that takes a lot from 3D platformers, but gives it a bigger action and story focus than what you'd find in a Mario or Sonic game. Ratchet was a huge success, and it, along with a handful of other new PS2 IP, would lead PlayStation to having the best generation in gaming history. In fact, Ratchet was so successful, there are now more Ratchet games than there are 3D Mario games. That's how much Sony liked Ratchet, and now, leading the charge on the PS5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is one of the first PS5-only Sony first-party games and is being pushed as the system seller for the start of this generation. Sony is finally pushing Ratchet into the spotlight once again and allowing this franchise to carry the console for 2021. That is a ton of pressure to be putting on a 3D action platformer, and judging from the trailers, the previews, and Insomniac's track record, they are going to nail it. But the context surrounding Rift Apart is more than just being the premier PS5 exclusive. That is very critical and points to how important Rift Apart is for the Sony platform. But Rift Apart is a type of game that Sony hasn't really pushed since, well, the PS3. You see, while Ratchet and Clank did have a presence on PS4, it was only through the remake of the first game, which was technically a movie tie-in budget game. The PS4 entry in the series, while a great game, didn't really do anything to push the franchise forward, and certainly was not being pushed as the biggest game on the platform. And with so many other hit exclusives coming out on the PS4, it almost felt like we were lucky to even have this remake to begin with. Now, in 2021, it is clear that Sony still sees value in the franchise, and is more than happy to invest in these types of 3D action platformers. Again, something they haven't really done since the PS3 with the Future Saga. So your argument is that for Sony, this game is so important because it's the make or break for the PS5? No, I'm sure the PS5 will be fine, even if this game isn't a huge success. So then why is it the most important game? Well, at the time when Sony was being heavily criticized for abandoning their legacy content, stifling creativity, and only putting out the same cinematic action games, Ratchet and Clank not only shows that Sony can invest in their classic IP, but put their entire budget behind something that's not just a heavy-headed game about sad dads. Seriously, Sony has a lot of sad dads. I guess I see your point, but does that really make it the most important? You could argue that Returnal is way more of a creative risk, and this is still a cinematic action type game. Well, I guess that leads into the other point, that this game could be the key to saving the legacy of the PlayStation 2. Oh, you don't mean... Yes, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the game that can save Jack and Sly. Remember when I briefly mentioned those other PS2 IP? Well, it's actually interesting to look at where they all ended up. Ratchet and Kratos are still alive and kicking. Killzone has pretty much served its purpose in a post-FPS dominated world. No, wait a minute. Now, I'm sure so many of you are lining up to say, well, wait, Killzone isn't dead, it's still relevant, there's gonna be another Killzone, and rest assured, it's definitely dead. Shadow of the Colossus is sort of still around, but the developer went independent, and Jack and Sly, however, were just kind of left behind. While Insomniac worked simultaneously on the Resistance franchise, they kept the Ratchet series fresh and new throughout the PS3 lifecycle. Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch, however, moved on to focusing on only brand new IP, Uncharted, Last of Us, and Infamous. Naughty Dog quickly found success focusing on narrative-focused, linear third-person action games, that's a mouthful, while Sucker Punch evolved from the core ideas of Sly Cooper and focused on open-world games with fun action and traversal mechanics. While both teams still leave fun Easter eggs to their classics in their current games, they have all but abandoned the IP entirely. That's not to say the IP died when these teams moved on, because we of course got Jack Lost and then they were in... Oh god. At least Sly got a fourth main entry. It wasn't developed by Sucker Punch, but it was pretty decent. At this point, however, both franchises are seemingly gone. I wouldn't ever expect Naughty Dog to come back to a game like Jack, because they clearly found their niche. Sucker Punch seems like they could still do something new with Sly, but their team is much smaller than Insomniac, and way smaller than Naughty Dog. And with the massive success of Ghost of Tsushima, I can't see them wanting to distract themselves from whatever is next for Jin Sakai. Suffice it to say, if there ever were to be new entries in these games, then we'd probably need a new developer. Which of course leads me into the fact that Sony just partnered with the new Haven Studios, and because of course, Haven City, Jack 2, Haven Studios, clearly they're working on... So now we're back at Ratchet and Clank and Insomniac Games. The last OG PlayStation team still working on the same IP and genre. We're being very specific here because Sony Santa Monica still makes God of War, but I like said sad dad game. Now, let's look at the world where Rift Apart is just okay. Sales aren't amazing, and reviews are mediocre. I think that Sony would probably take Ratchet out back and let him live out his days next to such icons like Fat Princess and, dear God. The fact that this is the first time Sony has made such a big push for a game like this since the PS3 days tells us that in order for this franchise to continue being supported, this game needs to do well. Now granted, that's the case for a number of franchises. If it's not successful, why would they bother making more? I'm not saying Ratchet is on its last legs, far from it, but certainly a game of this scale and budget probably wouldn't happen anytime soon if it doesn't do well. More than that, imagine if this game knocks it out of the park. Ratchet and Clank returns to its place amongst Sony's staple of top-tier IP, and Insomniac continues its dominancy in the fun creative space. Not only that, but Sony will have all of the proof it needs that games like Ratchet still sell and have a place in the PS5 ecosystem. I'm not saying they would automatically greenlight a Jack sequel, but if they're handing out Sackboy to a team like Sumo Digital, then maybe they'll start to shop around for someone who wants to make Jack 4. Hey, maybe CD Projekt Red needs an easy win. Imagine Cyber Jack and Daxter, that would be so cool. The success of Ratchet on PS5 will even put more pressure on Sony to provide a way to play the other games in the franchise and therefore create a better legacy platform. We saw what happened when they tried to close the PS3 store. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart represents more than just a showpiece PS5 exclusive, and more than just a chance for Ratchet to shine again. Rift Apart is likely the last chance for Sony to see games like this as an important part of the ecosystem. Sure, they still have Astrobot and they have Sackboy as well, but with games that ooze that PS2 classic vibe, Ratchet and Clank is so important. So that PlayStation can be more than just mature cinematic action games. they can justify investing in their older fan favorites, and maybe even build towards a new Sly Cooper or Jak and Daxter. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the best chance we've had in years to vote with our wallets and tell Sony, yes, please make more of these. I've got nothing but confidence in Insomniac sticking the landing with this game, so with any hope, we'll see Jak and Sly back on the PS5. And that is why this is the single most important PlayStation first-party exclusive of all time.
I love Sly Cooper so much. Do you really think we'll get to see him in a new game?
Your Honor, I know we will.
What about Ape Escape?
What's Ape Escape?
You don't know what Ape Escape is?
I have reached my verdict. Well, shit.